So I'll just say this out. We're now learning Parshat Noach, the Sikha from Noach, in Mekuti Sichas Aleph. And if you remember, the Rebbe said that Noach came into the Teva. The word Teva means the ark, but it also means it means words. The words of prayer and the words of learning. Torah. You go into those words and it will protect you from the turbulent waters. And there's two types of turbulent waters: spiritual problems and mundane problems. And it will protect you from them. You'll know what to do, you'll know how to react. You won't go crazy, you'll remember that you're a human being, you have a soul that can never be touched. That every difficult situation you've been put into is in order to either improve the situation or at least not let the situation bring you down. That's from the letters of Torah and prayer. Okay, Lechora, at first glance, and you don't have this, I didn't print this out for you. These letters are 15 lines. I printed out from the next page. So it goes, Lechora, at first glance, Nitan Lahasik, you can conclude from what we just said that a person should stay in the words of prayer and Torah. Protect you. Pretty good. Stay in the ark.
Never leave the Yeshiva.
Never leave. Tevas, the Torah, the Beli, Kol, Chuvas, Tzumas Lev, and Nasa Bazulas. Forget about what's going on in the other world. In the world, turn off your television, turn off your radio, throw them out the window, which is not a bad idea anyway. Don't read newspapers, which might even be a better idea. And also don't have anything to do with anybody in the world. Don't go to the mikveh, there you get all this news from other people. Don't go into business. So save up a little bit of money and stay in your house. Don't talk to anybody. You go outside, somebody says hello to you, don't answer. Don't answer. Then he says, Ani et nafshi hitzalti. Huh?
How did that money creep?
He worked before. From before. Well, yeah, you work, you save up. Right? You finally retire. Right? Yeah, retire. You go into the room, lock the door, out the door. You call. You can even call up nowadays. You call up and you have them send from the grocery store. They said, put it on the door. You put it on the door. As soon as the guy goes away, open the door, take it in. It's like self-imposed prison.
This is like a 10-year plan.
No, even longer, if you live that long. Says the Torah, Bo elateva atau benecha v'ishtecha b'nei benecha. You should come into the ark, not just alone. Oh, that's good. Not just you alone, but also you and your wife. I'm sorry. It says, come into the ark, you and your sons and your wife and the wives of your sons as well. Don't bring yourself just alone into the words of Torah and prayer. Ki'im gam b'nei beitcha, also your family. You have to have a good effect on your family. V'kein b'necha ema talmidim, and also there's another means for your family. It means also your pupils. B'sofa dava kol Yisrael, all the Jews. You have to bring all of the Jewish people into the words of Torah and prayer with you. How do you do that? What does it mean? It means, let's say for our purposes, right, we're up to where now, make everybody do tshuva, realize the importance of Torah and realize the importance of prayer. Everybody should be religious, learning all the time, praying all the time, and that'll be a good world, right? Wrong. You're going to see in a second, the Rebbe is going to say, God told Noah to go out of the ark. So we'll see, let's see. That what it means, your wife and your sons, ki isha mashmuto makabel. A wife is usually the one that receives from you. She's the receiver. That's why God is always called masculine, right? Atah, we don't say at, because he is the giver. God gives everything. V'kol Yehudi makabel mereo. Every Jew is the wife. Every Jew receives from his fellow Jew. Shari kol Yisrael hem koma chashlema. All the Jews are like one big body. And now we're starting from where I copied. At kulam alecha likanes lateva. You have to bring all of the Jewish people into the ark. What's the ark? The letters, the words of Torah and prayer. In other words, alecha lashpia al kol Yisrael. You must have an influence on all of the Jewish people to go into the Torah, the letters of the Torah and prayer. All the Jews. Now, usually most people will say, oh, this is really good, this is really important, but how can I influence all the Jews? So let's forget the whole thing. So the answer to this is no, one at a time, and you don't even have to succeed, you have to try. You have to try. You have to plant the seed, tell people about how wonderful the Torah is, how wonderful learning the Torah is, and how wonderful prayer is, what an amazing thing it is, and get the people to come themselves to realize the inner content of the words of the Torah, the blessing that there is in the words of the Torah, the tremendous effect that words of prayer have on yourself and on God Himself. Try. Will it work out? For sure it'll work out. How? It's not your business. You have to do as much as you can. In a nice way, in a pleasant way. But, of course, what that requires is that you yourself have to feel it. You yourself have to feel that there is really some meaning, or at least believe that there is some really godly, precious meaning in every word of the Torah and every word of prayer. Feel it. Before Matan Torah, before God gave the Torah, a person might have made a mistake and thought, Ma nogea li azulat. What do I care about other people? Ani et nafshi itzalti. I have enough problems with myself. If I can just keep myself on the straight path and not steal, not lie, and not cheat, and everybody else do what everybody else is doing in Egypt, worshiping the idols. Who knows what they're doing? Hine gam az omer kodesh baruch hu leNoach. Don't think so. God said to Noah, and Noah was before the giving of the Torah, right? How much more so after the giving of the Torah? Noah was like 500 years, something like that, before the giving of the Torah. I have to look it up and see how much it was.
He was 10 generations before Abraham.
Abraham, no, yeah, okay, that's what it says, right, in this. But Abraham was born when Noah was 700 years old.
They knew each other, I think.
They knew each other. They didn't like each other, but they knew each other. They didn't. It's the story with the
something about it.
Yeah.
Throwing some seeds on his.
Yeah, fish.
It's the best.
No, let's not talk about it. After Matan Torah. Achar ha'aravos. It says that Abraham lived 40. It was 600, 700 years. No, Avram was born. I made a mistake. Abraham was born 300 years after the flood. And and Noah died when Abraham was 58 years old. Gematria Noach. He died when I was so. Noah lived 958 years, and Abraham was born 500 years there. Abraham was born. I have to look and see. I forgot. After the door of Haflaga, the generation of the Flaga, Noach was still alive in the generation of the dispersion. You know, when they built the Tower of Babel. So I'll have to look it up. But the Tower of Babel I have to look it up. I'm sorry, I don't want to say. It's like 100 years, something like that. Then there's 200 years after the flood.
Well, the leader of the Tower of Babel movement, I think, was Nebuchadnezzar. And Nebuchadnezzar was also one who threw...
That's a midrash, I don't know. I didn't read it. Okay, could be. Shekol Yisrael, Arevim Zebazeh, all the Jewish people are responsible and mixed in and can sweeten one the other. You cannot fill this obligation of worrying about every other Jew's spiritual welfare by just worrying about yourself. The situation of other people, tzorich liot murgash be'emet u'bepnimiyot hanefesh, has to be really felt and in the inside of your soul. And it's just like you think about yourself automatically, you should think, that's what you should be doing, thinking about other Jews. What's the example? The Rebbe. The Rebbe was really thinking about every single Jew in the world, worrying about every single Jew in the world. That's why he sent out all these shluchim. Because every Jew that does not have a connection with Torah and mitzvahs is not really, manifesting his true self. Call Yisrael and Kol Machaz. All the Jews are like one big body. Ukashem shebaguf adam, just like in one big body. Nogaz brioso shel ever echad. It's important the health of each and every limb. Lebrioto shel ever hasheni, to the others. A person has an ingrown toenail. It can affect his whole body. If it gets infected, it can have very bad effects on all of his other limbs. And also we should feel the same way about the Jewish people. If there is one Jew that does not do Torah and mitzvahs, does not know about Torah and mitzvahs, then that Jew should hurt me. It should hurt me. Of course, you can always take this in a negative way, a wrong way, and say, because of you, I'm suffering. But the meaning is supposed to be that you feel the other Jew, and the other Jew doesn't feel anything. He doesn't know what you're talking about. Doesn't know what you're talking about. You have to put on tefillin, you have to do this because it's all the Jewish people are like one. He'll say, that's what you believe, but I don't believe that. But the Rebbe is trying to tell us that this is the truth. This is the fact. The Jewish people are one big body. And therefore, everyone should be responsible for the other. Of course, the big difference between a body and the Jewish people is each limb does not have free will. Your fingers and your toes and they don't have free will. They can't help one another. Right? Only the mind has free will. But in the Jewish body, each one has free will. And therefore, you can use your free will either to be selfish or to think about others. Therefore, it is important to every single Jew the spiritual health of every other Jew. And a person does not work with another person. Chaser gam bo. It means it's a big question who the real sickie is. Right? You see this other person, he's not doing Torah, he's not doing commandments, not doing anything. You're not worried about it, you don't care about it. So you say, why should I get near him? He's already sick. Right? He's sick. He says, well, the fact is if you don't care about the other person, it could be that you're much sicker than he is. A lot of times also you find these Jews that are totally not religious or anything, but they're like really nice people and they really help others and they really care about others. And if you're in trouble, they'll come and help you out. And if your car is stalled out, they'll push you. And and they have a good morning for everybody and a good evening. And they try to help people. And sometimes a person can be religious and he thinks, I've done my obligation. I think I'm pretty much, in a pretty good shape. I don't have to worry about other people. I don't need that. I don't need that for myself. And another person who's not religious doesn't know about what he needs or not. He just can't bear to see other people suffering. So here's the Rebbe saying that there's another type of lack in the world, a spiritual lack. You see somebody's lacking something spiritually, as you should provide it for him, but you cannot provide it for him in the same way you can provide a physical lacking. Right? A physical lacking, you can force a person, you can, right? You see he's lacking, you can force him to eat. In spiritual, you can't force a person. I mean, you can do it, but rarely does it work. Rarely. There are times when it works.
The person's heart's got to be open to it.
Has to be open to it. Like I told you the story, somebody came and told me, a religious guy, Israeli, that he was in Amsterdam. Amsterdam is like spiritually one of the lowest places in the world. And there's absolutely nothing even vaguely resembling godliness or holiness over there. And he was walking on the street with his friends. I guess he had rings in his ear and other places where he could put rings. He was walking on with his friends on his way to do something, horrendous. And there was a Jewish man standing there on the street. And he looked at the Jewish man, and the man said to him, "You are going to burn in hell." And he said, he heard those words, and it just totally shook him up. He told his friends to go. They went back to his hotel room, got all of his stuff, took back to Israel, and became a Baal Tshuva, became religious. Now, this is not exactly a way of Chabad, of doing it, and I doubt if it would work very often, but it certainly did. It certainly did where, like you have the good cop and the bad cop. When they take people for interrogation, so maybe we could have, a good Chabadnik and the bad Chabadnik. One say, "You're going to burn in hell." The Chabadnik say, No, you don't have to burn in hell. Come put the tefillin on. You go to heaven. I don't think it'll work. But anyway, it did work with this person, though. It did work with this person. Generally speaking, in order to convince another person that something is good, first of all, you have to believe it yourself. And second of all, it has to be that the other person sees that you believe it. And that it's good for you. You're not believing it just because you're a paranoid, whatever it is, schizophrenic, and that the only thing that gives you a little bit of comfort is knowing that everybody's going to burn in hell except for you. So therefore you're very, religious. And
It is comforting.
it is, that's a comforting feeling, no doubt about it. A comfort station we have. Huh?
I'm sort of reminded of Felix Frankfurter, the Supreme Court
Justice. He was Jewish? Yeah.
He was Jewish.
Yeah.
He was brought up until he was 17 years old as an Orthodox Jew. And at 17 years old, he just said, "This is not for me." But when he was about to die, one of his law clerks was Lou Henkin. Lou Henkin was the son of Rav Henkin, big Rav on the Lower East Side. Anyway, he instructed his family that Lou Henkin should be in charge of his funeral. So he had the power and whatnot. It was very good. As an Orthodox Jew, but he had nothing to do with
Listen, I mean, obviously he thought that he could express his potential much better as a non-religious Jew than a religious. Listen, there were a lot of, composers and other people in Austria and these places that they just left Judaism in order to get accepted. In order to get accepted, in order that their music should get accepted. There was, what was it called? I can't remember this. I forgot his name. Mahler.
Mahler.
Mahler. He wrote a famous Ninth Symphony or something like that. Amazing music. I mean, it's very difficult for me to listen to it, fact is, but it's just incredible harmonies and cross harmonies and this. And he had to change it. There were a lot of other people also, Felix Mendelssohn, other people. Listen, it was very difficult back there in those times, and in America especially. America was very special because, people didn't want to stand out. You were accepted. You could be accepted. You stood out as a religious Jew. You always had to do a lot of explaining and things like that. I mean, basically, only when the Lubavitcher Rebbe came along did it become. I mean, there were certainly individuals that were proud of their Judaism that stood up, for their Judaism, and they were proud and didn't care. But when the Lubavitcher Rebbe came along, as he made it accessible to everybody, you didn't really have to have any special defiance of the world. People just became so proud that they were Jewish and realized that being Jewish is such a beneficial thing to others, that we have a very positive message. You don't have to give up being a nice person or giving up, you just have to say, I don't shake hands with women or I don't eat at this meal. People understand. People understand 100%. Yeah, but you have to be, the idea is that you're giving to other people not just who you are, but who they are. In other words, God is creating every person personally. And every person is important. And that, in a way, is why the Jews are the chosen people. We're chosen to tell everybody exactly that. God has chosen, everyone is important, no one is replaceable, nobody is expendable. Everybody has some good quality inside of them that nobody else has. And so.
I think it was around 1980. I was sitting in my office, and I got a call. My secretary came in and said, "There's a Rabbi Shem Tov on the line for you." Anyway, so I said, "Okay." Anyway, he called me. He said to me, he said, "Herschel, this is Avramo Shem Tov, and I'm trying to get an appointment with Senator Pell. And Rabbi Laufer in Providence told me that you could probably arrange an appointment." I said, "Okay, why do you want an appointment?" He said, "The Rebbe wants us to have an education bill. And he'd like to get Senator Pell, who is chairman of the Senate Education Committee, to be one of the sponsors of the bill." So I said, "All right, I'll arrange an appointment." Anyway, I arranged an appointment call with the Senator's administrative assistant. His name is Tom Hughes. So he went to, he had an appointment with Hughes and whatnot, and I didn't think anything about it, but about 3 or 4 months later, I'm walking along the street in Providence, and Tom Hughes is going on the other side of the street. It's a wide street. He's
the secretary of this Pell.
Yeah, he's the minister. The chief of his office. Anyway, so he says, "Herschel, I have to talk to you." He yells at me across the street. He crosses the street, and I says, "Oh boy, what do I do now?" And he said, "I want to tell you," he said, "the best thing that ever happened to me was your introducing me to Rabbi Shem Tov." I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah." He says, "Everybody comes to me, they want something for themselves." He says, "Rabbi Shem Tov, I asked him, what do you get out of this education bill?" He says, "My rabbi told me that it's a good thing for America." So he says he worked his butt off with the senators and whatnot to get this bill passed. He says, "I never saw anybody like it in my life. He's amazing."
Yeah.
Amazing guy.
That's the point, that's right.
And the point is that if you're going to do the right thing...
Sure. Listen, God is only one God. He's creating the whole world. And He's creating all the non-Jews. One amazing thing is that Professor Viktor Frankl, he came to the exact same conclusion as the Rebbe. Even though he didn't have the idea of holiness and he didn't have the idea of God, he said that he purposely left that out of his whole formula. But the same thing, everybody's important. No one is this. Everyone has a soul. But he used it in psychiatry. He said that's if you awaken the soul of a person, then you can make him healthy. He said the soul of a person is never sick, and the soul of a person is responsibility. Anyway, we'll talk about it later. Let's go on. Call Yisrael and call this. That's right. So all the Jews have to worry about every other Jew. Zion. Hashpa zu ala zula subafrad al bnei abayis. Ein tzaricha leheasos kedei letzeis yedei chova lavad. This having an effect of bringing every single Jew into the ark, teva. In other words, in our time, it means the letters of prayer and the letters of Torah. You have to bring yourself in and your whole family, namely all the Jewish people. And you shouldn't do this, as the Rebbe, just because I said to do it, and you do it. Why do you do it? Like you go into a business meeting, so you shine your shoes. Why do you have to shine? Yeah, that's what everybody does. You have to do it with devotion. Like it says, from the Rebbe Rashab, Keshem Shanachas Tefillin Kol Yom, He Mitzvah Daraisa, I'll call Yehudi. Just like putting on tefillin is a positive commandment from the Torah for every Jew, without any difference if it's a great person in the Torah or a simple Jew that doesn't even know how to read. Kach achov gomer al kol Yehudi lachshov kol yom chetzi shah. Also, every Jew has to think. It's an obligation. Think at least 1/2 an hour. Oros chinuch hayeladim, on educating children. Nice thing to say, but it has absolutely no practical. But who's going to sit a 1/2 an hour and think about educating children? Who's going to do a thing like that? Who has a 1/2 an hour to think? Says the 5th Rebbe of Chabad, you should do it and you've got time, and it's an important thing. Think about educating people. Think about educating. La'asot kol asher b'kocho v'yoter mikafi kocho, la'ashpia al yeladim. You must have an effect on every single child. Shid nagu b'derech ba madrichim otam. They should actually act in a way that they're being educated to act. A lot of times children are educated one way in school, and when they go home it's a different. So Lama Yizkira Rebbe Nisham Mitzvahs Tefillin. Why did he say that just like it's an obligation to put on tefillin, so you have to, it's an obligation to think about the children? Just say it, just like the whole Torah is an obligation. So this is also why tefillin specially. Hariyeshnu kama v'kama mitzvahs, there are many mitzvahs. Why say that just like it's a commandment to put on tefillin, it's a commandment to think about children, think about educating children? Why tefillin say it's a commandment to have a mezuzah, a commandment? One of the things that the Rebbe Rishab, the 5th Rebbe, the father of the previous Rebbe, the Rebbe Sholem Ber, what he wanted to hint at was the mitzvah of tefillin is not a mitzvah maisit bilvad. The mitzvah of putting on tefillin is not just a physical act. In Yana Panimi, there's an inner message inside of tefillin. Shibud alev v'moach, namely attaching your heart and your brain to God. Like it says in the Shulchan Aruch and the Tanya. V'kach gam inyan hashba al b'nei abayis. And the same thing having an effect on the people of your family, on other Jews in general. It has to be not just an external thing you do, like you put 2 boxes on your arm. You have to worry about what's inside and what's implied by the scrolls that are inside. Love God with all of your heart and all of your might and all of your being. Your heart, your soul, and your might. You have to attach your brain and your heart not only to God, like in the tefillin, but you must use your heart and your brain also to attach to every other Jew to teach them. Yehudi she'eno mistapek ba'azma bilvad. A Jew that is not satisfied just with working with himself alone, ela osek, but he works hard, b'hatzalas Yehudim, to help other Jews, ub'havasam otoch hateva, to bring them into the ark, into the words of Torah and prayer. Yochliot betuach, he can be sure that he himself will remain what's called about Noach, tamim v'shalem, ish tzaddik tamim. As you help other people, and God will help you. Hezbollah Devarim. Let's explain this. Le'inyan zeh kol inyan. So now, what is the Rebbe saying here? The whole commandment of going into the ark means not just yourself, but you must pull as many Jews into the ark, namely the teva, means the tevas of Torah, the words of Torah and prayer. Pull as many Jews into it as possible. The other Jews will appreciate what's inside of the words of Torah and the words of prayer. But you have to do it with devotion. It's a thing that's of utmost importance. Says the Rebbe, don't worry about it. You might think, hey, I can't do that. So the Rebbe said, you're right. You can't. You can't. It is beyond the ability of any Jew to do it.
Noach didn't.
Huh?
Noach didn't bring anybody in.
He brought his wife and his children. That's the point. So he says, our wife and children is all the Jews. Anyone who will receive from us. So the Rebbe said, I'm giving you an impossible task. A human being cannot do what I'm saying. But with God's help, you certainly can do it. You alone can't do it. Sure not. But with God's help, no doubt you can do it. So don't try to think, I'm going to do the whole business on my own, and then get all discouraged and depressed, everything like that. Justly so, because you really can't do it yourself. It's like an impossible task to do. But if you think that God is going to help me, and I need God's help, then God is only asking you to do 1%, 10%, 100%. If you do 100%, it ends up that you're doing only 1%. And when you think about it, you're realizing that 1% is also 100% God's. So really, in the end, God is doing everything. But you have to make the decision, you have to make the effort, and you have to be a little bit uncomfortable, and you have to... Says the Rebbe, in order to do this, you have to have si'ul milamayla, you have to have help from God. Lochi, and therefore, achrei shenoach nichnas lateva, after Noach went into the ark, he had to have help from above. It says, Vayizgar Hashem ba'ado. It says that God closed the doors for him, for Noach. Kanisa Teva, going into the letters of prayer, Teva Torah Tefillah, this you can do on your own. This, B'koach atzmi, yochol lios legamri, shaloka the boy. You can do it on your own. And it could be that it'll be totally wrong. Total mess up the whole thing. Al derech, like it says, shalo borchu b'torah techila. It says that one of the reasons that the temple was destroyed was because the Jews did not bless on the Torah first. They learned the Torah, but they didn't bring godliness into the Torah. You don't want God to help you, want to do it on your own, the whole thing could become a big, comedy of errors. But birchas haTorah omrim asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav asher b'charbanu mikol amim v'nasan lanu et Torato, that God gave us His Torah, and it says noten Torah, that God not gave us but gives us. Noten b'lashon halva, present tense. Zot omer, in other words, a mavorach yodeh, a person who blesses in the Torah, he knows that the Torah he's learning he is receiving it right now from God. It is not just our heritage that was received by Moses and we are adhering, we are keeping up the faith. Says the Rebbe, you're true, you're keeping up the faith, but the faith is not just that Moses got the Torah. That's true, Moses got the Torah, but the fact is, I'm getting the Torah right now. The Torah that Moses just brought the truth of the Torah into the world. Now when I learn the Torah, God is speaking directly to me. Zot omeret shemavorach yodea, a person who blesses knows that the Torah, he's learning the Torah of God. He's not learning the Torah just of the yeshiva or of the Jewish people or v'shalo borchu b'tchila, that it says the Jewish people did not bless in the Torah first. Hainu gam keshalomdu Torah, even when they learned the Torah, shachachu al noten Torah, they forgot about the giver of the Torah. Kacham b'tefillah, also with prayer. A person can pray מבלי שהתפילה תהיה מורגשת והשפיעה על ענייני כל יום שיהיו כרבוי. A person can pray, and then after he finishes praying, even while he's praying, but he can pray, and in the course of the day, he is not exactly honest, and he's not exactly friendly, and he's not exactly helpful, and he's not exactly calm, right? Calm. Kadesha tefillah tashpia al kol hayom. If you want prayer, the prayers that you pray in the morning to have an effect on the whole rest of the day. I mean, God does create the world. There is nothing except for God the whole rest of the day also. Not just when you're in shul and you're thinking about it, but when you come out and somebody makes you mad, there's still, right, somebody cuts you off on your car. Tzaricha atefila liyot b'tzura kazeh, in order that you should feel this oneness of God and the closeness of God and the goodness of God the whole day, as the prayers that you make in the morning have to be in such a way shebeshas atefila, in the time that you pray, lo tiyeh yedua metzias olam, that you don't know that there's a world. When you're praying, no world. Hamitpalel muvshat me'olam. When you pray, you are removed from the world. Hu yodea rak elokus. All there is godliness. Ubechazaro. When you come back into the world, olam chadash, you see a brand new world, just like Noach saw. Ukafi amuz bar the Baal Shem Tov, like the Baal Shem Tov said, he would think before he prayed. Im yishar b'chayim begufo achrei tefillah. He would think if he would remain alive after prayer. Hu lo yabatuch, wasn't sure. Migalal kolos nefesh b'tefillah. Because when he would pray, it would not surprise him if he wasn't alive after prayer. Because when he was praying, he was thinking about Hashem so much, and the words of the Torah, of the prayer, so much about how good God is and how God took us out of Egypt, and how God is good to us right now, and that God is with us all the time. As he's got no worries and he has no time, there's no time, and there's all there is just the Creator. And he says, you know what, Hashem, you just do with me whatever you want. Because that's the way it is anyway. The fact is that God, when we're alive, it's not that I am, keeping myself alive. God is keeping me alive. There's certain things that you have to do in order to keep yourself healthy and stuff like that. But life is coming from God. That's the fact. Tzaddikim, they really feel this. Tzaddikim really feel that everything in the world is an incredible miracle, and everything that there is being created by God all the time, including me. And that if I do what God wants, everything's going to be really, really good. And really good doesn't necessarily mean what I think is really good. It doesn't really mean what I think is really good. Who knows? In order for the prayer to have effect on the whole rest of the day, a person has to pray, when he prays, to really get into the meaning of the words and forget about the world. Ukadesha Torah, at least I'm talking about when he's praying. When he's praying. Kadesha Torah, but in order that the learning Torah and prayer are the way they should be, and that you also have to have help from God. God will close you in. It ends up, the whole thing is God. I mean, listen, the God wants us to be His partners, and we have free will, and we can do what we want, and it's true. But when we do what God wants, then we're just acting in the proper way. We're just acting. Here they have all these people nowadays that they want to do better than God. So what do? They do tattoos, or they put all sorts of weird, bizarre piercings, because they want to do something, more. But what if a person just wants to be, regular, normal? So, like, you don't have any piercings, this is the way God created me, and I think it looks nice. It's boring. Come on, you have to have at least a picture of the Battle of Waterloo or something, on your chest. Come on. Isn't it boring? You look at your arm, all you see is just arm. That's terrible. It should have on your arm. It should have like the Encyclopedia Britannica, a little bit of it, something written over there. I mean, interesting. I mean, alone you're such a boring person. Person goes on, meets, goes in for a job interview. He looks at him and says, "You're so boring. I mean, there's nothing written on your face, and you're just a person with eyes and nose." Well, that's ridiculous, right? People are interesting, and life is interesting. And once you have a tattoo, you're stuck with the tattoo. And you thought you were God, and it's a mistake. You really aren't God. It's a big bluff. Hazachut la'ezer v'siyur. This, if a person just accepts the world as it is, and he does what God wants, then suddenly everything becomes really, really interesting. You have like this, you have television, right? People have television, you watch television, something goes on all the time. And finally end you're all depressed and you feel miserable because you didn't do anything. You're not worth anything. You didn't bring out any potential. You saw that Trump did something, and that General Patton did something, and that Alexander the Great did something. You see this movie about Superman. He's jumping around, he's going around, he's doing things. Amazing stuff. Whoa, I'm so tired. Why are you tired? I didn't do anything. He did nothing whatsoever. What are you talking about? I lifted up a mountain. You didn't see what I did. Right? For World War II. Hazachus la'ezer v'siyua zeh bo al yedei hitmasrus el azulos. How can you get help from God so that when you pray in the morning, you can actually think about the truth, the reality of the situation, and not to be connected to the world in all sorts of false and meaningless, futile ways, and be connected to the Creator and appreciate the Creator in a real, total, helpful way? Help other people. If in the course of the day you help other people, it opens up your mind. If you help somebody else, God will help you. Then it will take you into the ark. There's another. We'll see if we learn this next week. Let's just do this test. Yoter, okay, and even more. HaKodesh Baruch Hu Omar LaNoach, Hashem said to Noach, Lachnis Lateva, to take into the ark, not just his sons and his wife and their family, not just all the other Jews or whatever, all the other people, but he also said to bring in the animals. Haromi Khan, what does it mean? What are we supposed to do? Call chefetz shebaolam, she'odea lo alav, shebelish tadluso hu alul lelechas li. Anything that there is in the world that you know that if you don't put some effort into it, it's going to be resignated to meaninglessness. Mutal olav lachniso lateva shelo. He has to bring it into the ark. Latzilo o laloso lekadusha. Anything that you can use for the sake of Hashem, you should use. Hamachshava she'ein ze nogea lo, nogeres tochen hashgacha pratis. If you think you come across something and it has no meaning to you, then this is against the whole idea of hashgacha pratis. Of course, there are certain things, that you have to reject. But these certain things that you reject, that's also doing it. You reject it because God wants you to. Mekivan she'azman she'izmin lo kodesh baruch hu et yediyah. Since you know that there is such a thing like this in the world, you know that if it's not used properly, that this thing can be completely, wasted. I know that you should write. There's an amusement park, right? You could take the kids to the amusement park. You have the Jewish kids, and they enjoy it. The things that are permissible, take them. That gives an elevation to the whole entire amusement park. Then, when your interest is outward, also this Professor Viktor Frankl says, the door to meaning opens out. Then you will be able to go into you yourself, into the ark, into the letters of prayer, and into the letters of Torah, and you'll be able to bring others. Until it comes to the level of, that it should be up to 1 amma on the top. What does it mean? That you get everything milamayla. Everything is given to you from above. Like it says, that God will provide for you. Until finally, when Noach got out of the ark, God put the rainbow in the sky. The rainbow of the sky is rainbow. Moshel l'kodesh baruch hu. The rainbow is compared to God. She'oso et kol olam l'dira latzmuso. because it's harmony. The rainbow is harmony. There's a lot of different things that the rainbow means. But the rainbow means harmony, and that is an example of the peace and harmony that God will bring in the future world. There's another sikha that we're going to learn, that God, it's so wonderful to go into the ark, go into the letters of Torah and prayer. So why did God say to Noah, go out, leave the ark? Tzei min hateva. The Rebbe has another sikha that we'll talk about, and we'll talk about that soon. Let's have a little short break.